Dr. Ipilakia T. Daniel, Director of Engineering and Technical Services, National Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission. The responsibilities of the Directorate. One is taking charge of administration of this Directorate. Two is initiation and formulation of policies, execution and review of policies and programs for the development of infrastructure in the hydroelectric power producing areas. Number three is taking responsibility and conceiving, planning, and implementing in accordance with set rules all engineering projects with set rules and programs for the development of hydroelectric power producing areas. Also to prepare schemes, sketching, layouts, survey plans, and engineering designs and drawings to promote physical development of the hydroelectric power producing areas. To also prepare a topographical survey, geographical surveys, and hydrological surveys, and geotechnical investigations of development of engineering projects such as building structures, erosion and flood control structures, and their infrastructure development in the hydroelectric power producing areas. Also to implement all measures approved for the development of hydroelectric power producing areas by the federal government. One of the functions is also advising on the deployment of staff and on the job training of pupil engineers and other professionals. Also advising the Commission on all engineering and technical matters. Also any other function as may be directed to do by the Chief Executive. So basically these are the functions of the Director of Engineering. The key components of these functions are basically execution of engineering projects, and in the past, what we have basically done in regards to these functions are construction of primary schools. And so far, we have constructed over 110 primary schools across the 6 states of Hyperdeck. We have also constructed mobile police barracks, done renovation of state offices across the states. Then we have also installed over close to 4,000 street lights so far, because the first batch was about 1,600 and the second batch was like 2,500 street lights across the state. We have also been involved in drainage construction, and one of which is the Ide River drainage in Makurdi, which is spanning about 2.3 kilometers, and it has been successfully executed. Now we also have designed and constructed the Patigi erosion control project. It was successfully executed, the phase 1. The phase 2 is currently ongoing and will soon be completed. We also have housing estates that are ongoing. The housing estates are located across the states for internally displaced persons. Mm-hmm. Most of the people living in the riverine areas have been displaced by flood, and by this the Commission felt is paramount for them to come in and intervene. And so the Commission, through the leadership of our able Managing Director, graciously approved the construction of units of housing estates across the states. milestones we have achieved are the ones I already mentioned. Like the Ide River Basin is a major project worth almost £1 billion. That project before now is surrounding people. The people living in that area are close to like over 6,000, and every year people are usually displaced in that area. They pack out, move out because the flood comes and engulf all their houses. But after the construction of that Ide River Basin, in fact, yesterday I saw it on NTA, where they were displaying how inhabitants are now stable in that place because the water has been properly channeled. And that is a very major milestone. That project is worth almost £1 billion. Then we also, the same thing at Patigi Erosion Control Project. Before now, in fact, there's a hospital by the side of that, the only hospital in the whole of that Patigi, by the side of the erosion control. That hospital was almost gone because of the gully erosion there. When the commission came in to intervene, that gully erosion, the correction was done, was constructed, and the hospital reclamation was made. So the hospital is no longer under threat. And the neighboring communities, people's houses that were washed off, some have come back to resettle in those places. So these are very major milestones. The communities also that were in darkness, most of them have been supplied with street lights. That is part of our project. In this year's budget, we are going to start constructing medical units, medical housings for communities that are lacking medical attention. Now, already we have received some requests from several communities and it's in the budget. And we are going to look at how we can raise structures or support existing structures that have been dilapidated. And we'll see how we can do that. It's actually in the budget. Well, the impact has been quite tremendous. That's a fact. Because every day we keep receiving reports on how these projects have been useful, how they have been helping the communities that previously have been ravaged by flood. Now, as I said earlier, if you go to the Ide River Basin Flood Control Project, that project is spanning about 2.3 kilometers. It's quite a vast one, and it has affected almost like 3 communities. And the impact has been so much that before now, 10 years before now, once it's rainy season, everybody vacates that area. But now, once it's raining, you go there, the places, the water has been properly channeled, and no house is being affected. No house is being submerged. The roads are now clearly defined, unlike before that the roads were all overwhelmed by the waters. So the impact in on those communities are quite tremendous. almost all the projects we do, we follow due process, and usually there's an advertisement of these projects, people bidding for it, and those that are the highest bidders, they compete very well and they are given those jobs. We don't involve people in anything of sort like direct labor. All our projects are contracted out. A lot of projects under construction. Like if you go to Barrack in Ladi in Plateau State, there is a police barracks that is under construction and is quite massive. It's a project worth over 300 million. It's quite massive. And before now, insecurity in that area was a very big problem. And the government fell on us, and the MD graciously approved that we should go there, carry out some construction there. And if you look at that project, there are so many housing units and offices that are being built by the commission. And with that, we're expecting that a functional mobile police barracks will now be set in that place to curb the issues of insecurity. We also have housing units across the states as we speak. They are ongoing, under construction, for people who have been displaced by flood. If you go to Patigi in Kwara State, the project is ongoing. If you also go to Muregi in Niger State, the construction of housing units is ongoing. There are so many things the future holds for the Directorate, because we are looking at future constructions at advanced level, which we are hoping that will grow to a level that even issues like dam, excavation, we'll be able to carry them out. We're also looking at issues where we'll be able to do projects on renovation of tertiary institutions, because we've noticed that we've been concentrating more on primary schools. We're looking at a situation where, because there are a lot of secondary and tertiary institutions that are also under threat of destruction or likely to fall apart because no good structure. So with time, we're looking at going to raise structures in these places to support communities where education is gradually falling out. By this, we're sure that the communities will now be properly empowered to be on the right foot of education. Then we're also looking at overhauling some of our rivers. By overhauling that, we'll discover that desilting will be a very major issue. We'll bring out heavy machines. Those are the future things we're looking at doing. We're also looking at going to build more hospitals and structures so that communities in the riverine areas will be able to benefit. We're also looking at things. In fact, there's a lot more we're looking at for the future to try to develop. We're working on it. It's still work in progress. We have never recorded any challenges of a contractor withdrawing from projects.
Okay.
All the contractors, once the projects are given out to them, we are on their neck 24/7, Because even today I called my assistant directors, I told them start calling all contractors. Make sure everybody executes his or her project. And when we give out these projects, we usually give you timelines. If we are giving you a construction of a primary school, we'll tell you 8 weeks complete. And if by week 3 we have not heard from you, we'll start giving you calls. So they don't withdraw from us. We don't have any problem of funding. Usually contractors withdraw when there's a problem of funding. We only give out jobs that we are sure we can fund. And once it's given out, there's no reason for a contractor to come out tomorrow and say, oh, we are withdrawing because there's no funding. So basically, no problem with contractors on funding. So there's no need for them to even withdraw. Feedbacks from communities. One, like if you look at the street lights we have installed across the states, our target areas have been villages. A few in urban areas, most of them in remote villages that have no electricity. And the feedback has been very, very wonderful. For instance, we had this year we had 2,604 street lights that were distributed across the states. And we've been receiving letters of commendation from these communities, praising us and wishing we should do more, which we are ready to do more. So the feedback from communities have been quite encouraging. Then even the flood control, even last week we got a letter of commendation from some of these flood affected areas, telling us of how they have now been settled and no flood issues have been affecting them. Yes, the truth is, when we execute projects, we now hand them over to communities. It is not expected that the commission will come back and take care of the projects for the communities. So usually after a project is completed, we do some mini ceremonies to hand over these projects to either the chief or the occupants of the community, the more senior, or anybody responsible, a cleric or so. Once we hand over, we give them instructions. These projects, you are supposed to take full ownership of this project, because after execution, they are no longer our projects. They are only our projects at the time of execution. After execution, they become the community's responsibility. So if they don't treat them anyhow, if they don't treat them well, they will be damaged. So we encourage them to make sure constant policing to avoid damage is done. Make sure you take good care of these projects. The street lights, avoid vandalization, erosion control, avoid dumping of refuse inside and all of that, so that the thing will not be blocked and tomorrow you start calling us again that we have another problem of erosion. Now the police barracks, we have encouraged them, because like the state government, after the completion, we're going to hand it over to the Plateau State Government. Plateau State Government will now empower that place with functional police personnel. And it is their responsibility that they will take good care of this facility so that nothing will happen to it. Because once we execute that project, we hand it over. And we encourage you to take proper care.